5'2", white, female.
As I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I take a look at my life and realize there's nothing left. Cause I've been blasting and laughing so long that even my mama thinks that my mind is gone.
Freeze! Nobody move! Shoot!
She was super bossy.
Give me some pies. Give me some of the good pies. No screwing around.
That's your finger, though.
Is it?
You knocked over a topper, Jax?
Do you want some pies? You want pies?
Yes, please.
I feel like we're kind of getting somewhere, and under different circumstances, we'd probably be, good pals, like find like a hot tub or...
I actually have one in my apartment complex.
Fingers crossed, we meet up again.
Grandma, I don't know where I'm going.
I've always wanted to go to Niagara Falls. How about a beer?
No.
Whiskey?
No.
Oh my God. You're pregnant.
I'm driving a car. You're a fugitive from justice.
Look out, fish!
You're gonna have to come with us. Let's go.
Oh, come on,
Let's go,
man.
Ma'am. Are you serious?
There was a bee.
There's no bees here, ma'am.
There was a bee.
Here, just throw the money through the window and we'll get out of here.
I'm unrobbing you. I'm giving it back.
Oh my God, there's 2 of them.
We're gonna need more pies.
America, huh? What have you ever done that's that cool?
I watched Neil Armstrong walk on the moon.
On his bike?
Neil.
Hello, welcome to Movie Umpers. My name is Bob Sham.
I'm Angela.
And the sounds you hear will be dogs, if you hear any weird sounds. We do this thing called Movie Roulette reviews, where we have pre-made categories with lists of movies on them. You draw these movies from a hat, and then we randomly select a number from the list of subcategories.
Yes.
And you landed on the subcategory Tammy. And you landed on the movie. We randomly generated a number, and you landed on the movie Tammy.
I got real excited because I thought I might get like Tammy and the Doctor, Tammy on the Bachelor, Tammy Tell Me True.
Isn't it like Debbie Reynolds in those early ones?
Yeah.
And those are on the list, but you hit...
I loved them when I was a kid.
But you hit Tammy.
Sure did. My odds of hitting Tammy were a lot higher than I...
What do you mean?
Tammy was on the list like 40 times.
Well... I mean, that's the risk, the danger of that specific category. But we're watching the movie, or we're discussing, we already watched it, the movie Tammy. It's Ben Falcone's directorial debut, feature film directorial debut. That is Melissa McCarthy's husband. It was written by Ben Falcone and Melissa McCarthy, starring Melissa McCarthy, Susan Sarandon, Mark Duplass. Actually, a pretty star-studded cast, right?
So many
Allison
people.
Janney, Kathy Bates, Sandra Oh.
Dan Ackroyd makes a
Ackroyd
cameo.
shows up.
You've got Muriel's Wedding.
It's produced by Will Ferrell and Adam McKay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Toni College.
Toni College.
And let's get into the cinematography. No, I'm kidding.
Melissa McCarthy's husband is also in this
You
movie.
almost said Melissa Metography. Ben Falcone. Now, this movie, and I'm not saying this is what happened. I'm just saying what this movie felt like.
Okay.
It felt like maybe Melissa McCarthy and Ben Falcone were at a party at a Warner Brothers studio party. Some studio heads were like, come on over. We'll have some actors. And they were like, and Melissa introduces her husband, or maybe they know each other. And they're like, you know what? Ben, why don't you direct one of Melissa's movies? And they have to come up on the spot with some concept. Like, oh, well, what you got? And they're like, how about, she's a lady named Tammy, and it's a road trip movie, and
with her grandma,
and they're just
spin it,
and they're pointing to other people at the party that they're friends with, and they're like, yeah, and he's, her dad, and that's her husband who's cheating on her, and then the Warner guy's like, yeah, just get Will Ferrell and Adam McKay to produce it.
Yeah.
And
Allison Janney will be her mom. Good. Susan Sarandon will be her grandma. Good. Forget the fact that there's only like 10 years between each of those women, but that's how we're going to do it.
Now, when it starts, we get Tammy, character. She's working at a fast food joint. For the first 15 minutes are kind of funny. Like, you kind of want to settle into this messy ass lady who kind of looks like was maybe a little bit like my mom in the 80s, but with better comebacks.
I'm terminating your employment at Topper Jacks, and I need your badge.
What badge? You mean my name tag?
Yes, exactly. I need your badge. I need your badge
It's not
back.
a badge, it's a name tag, and you made me buy it with my own money.
That's company policy. I need it back.
Well, I need you to stop sweating through your shirts and grossing everybody out.
It is hot, and when it's hot, people sweat. It's how
Not
it
like
is.
that.
Tammy?
Yeah.
I kept thinking, like, this feels like a relative of mine, right? And she comes home, and her husband, who doesn't seem like they would be the type to be together.
That's rude.
What are you talking about? What do you think I'm saying? He seems so buttoned up, and she's, like, listening to REO Speedwagon and shit.
That's true.
You know? I'm not talking about, like, weight and shit. Looks.
There is a photo of them where they both look very buttoned up in like matching sweaters. So maybe they used to be that.
But she gets fired.
I don't know.
She gets fired, and she does all her fuck yous out the door.
From a chicken store.
Topper Jacks, it's called.
Burgers, Topper Jacks.
So they should put their money into actual Topper Jacks and have a franchise.
So she hits a deer, which destroys her car. So she's late for work. So she gets fired. Then her car completely dies trying to get home. She comes home and finds out that her husband is sleeping
with Toni College. And honestly,
Toni Collette dinner. Has never cooked Tammy dinner. I felt genuinely sad for her in that moment. She's like, you've never cooked me a meal, not once.
And, you know, this setup, not so bad. I feel like we're in for a nice comedic romp. She goes 2 houses down. That's where her mother lives after
Allison
she grabs
Janney.
all her shit. Allison Janney, who kind of, you know, we've seen Allison Janney do some good performances. This kind of felt like she was reading her lines in the car before she got onto the set. She wasn't. It wasn't. It
didn't feel like a developed character.
No. Yeah, I mean, there wasn't much for her to memorize. It kind of her emotional like turns and outrage didn't really feel that convincing. Like we've seen much better out of her. So Tammy wants to take the car, and they have all these cars, and she's like, well, I'm taking Grandma's car. And then Grandma's like, oh, I'm going. And there's a conflict with Tammy and Grandma, but you're not clear.
And then Grandma's like, I have $6,700 in cash.
Grandma walks out and it's Susan fucking Sarandon. Mm-hmm. And they make it sound like she's so destitute. Well, that's not the right word, but like she can't even drive her own car.
Yeah.
But she walks out and she's like just Susan Sarandon. She looks spry. She's an older woman, yeah, but she doesn't look like she can't drive her own car.
Yeah.
Imagine if you got like an actual old lady that wasn't Susan Sarandon. That looked like an old lady that's drinking, drugging,
that would be
saying
amazing.
all the shit that she's saying. And like, look, God bless Susan Sarandon. Rocky Horror Picture Show as a young man was a part of a sexual awakening in me.
Me too. She was only 67 playing this role. She should have been 20 years older than that.
But there was nothing to chew on here. So, and she was nominated. She and Melissa McCarthy were nominated for Razzies for their performance.
Oh, fair.
Fair, absolutely.
Fair.
And I didn't think Melissa was that bad, but like her character, it didn't feel like it was maintaining.
It was not consistent.
No, like the one we get at the very beginning seemed fun and trashy, but like it goes up and down because there's supposed to be this forced like conflict with the grandma. It's very contrived movie. It's a very forced movie. Mm-hmm. And it's supposed to be a road trip movie. She's supposed to go with her grandma. So let's track the journey.
When you've spent a lot of time in the last 24 hours thinking about this. So,
according to Wikipedia, they're from Murfreesboro, Illinois, which is southwest Illinois.
They leave with the intent to go to Niagara Falls because Susan Sarandon said she was always supposed to go with her father. It never happened, and so now she wants to go with her granddaughter. So they're supposed to be heading to Niagara Falls, but they start drinking in the car. So
they go the wrong way, and I'm going northwest into Missouri, into Mark Twain State Park.
Who she calls Mark Twain. She doesn't know who Mark Twain is.
So that's when they realize they're in the wrong place, but they do chill out at the lake there, and she wrecks a jet ski. They have to pay like a big chunk of the money that they have.
$4,800, and it's you break it, you buy it. That guy we've seen places too, but I don't know. Like every person in this you recognize.
We see him in those. I think we've seen him in those some of those Danny McBride shows on HBO.
Yes.
And the one where he's the baseball player. He's in that one.
He is.
Also, Will Ferrell, Adam McKay produced joints.
Yeah, that makes sense. And so it's a you break it, you buy it situation. So now they are like, okay, we're going to go to Niagara Falls, but by way of going to visit Pearl is the grandma, her gay cousin. Well, and so they're pulling this
jet ski.
That's all I wanted to get to. Well, the jet skis on the back of the car.
The scene at the Mark Twain Park, you think the movie's going to be a series of them stopping at certain parts.
Having adventures. All
over, because it is supposed to be a road comedy. But then they get to Louisville, and then they're pretty much in the county or surrounding areas of Louisville
for the rest of the movie. Yeah, so they go to a bar.
It's a road comedy going from southwestern Illinois to Louisville, Kentucky. Mm-hmm. Louisville heads out there, holler, because this movie is all about your town.
And even at the end, she's like, I'm going to get myself a place in Louisville.
They moved to Louisville.
She does, yeah. So they go to Louisville because they're going to go see Kathy Bates the next day, who is Pearl's cousin. But that night, they decide to go to a bar. They get a hotel room, they go to a bar. And then this is when Pearl hooks up with...
dude from Office Space.
He's very handsome.
Yeah.
But again, she's supposed to be sick, and she's out there dancing. They're making out in the car. They fuck. She's fucking.
Melissa McCarthy gets thrown out of the hotel. Mark Duplass
is the guy's son.
Is his son. Mark Duplass, the exact same expression throughout the whole movie.
I know.
Like, you could tell that he's the love interest. And it's so funny because he will just show up later in the movie.
He's just Mark Duplass. Like, he's always the same in every role I've ever seen him in, basically.
I feel like he would be the exact same if he was, like, at a barbecue at our house. He'd be like, yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And there's a relationship that forms between them, but it's weird. It's like he's kind of is put off by her, but he does later tell her that the reason he likes her is because he's so boring. Like, his life is so boring, and she's so not boring because she's crazy.
You barely know her. You barely know her.
I know.
Also, there's this like weird throwaway thing where it's like his father is married, but their mother is sick, and they've been separated.
But his dad still takes care of the mother.
But we really needed to have that detail.
We did not need that.
And then halfway through the movie, Melissa McCarthy and Susan Sarandon are talking about the terrible things that they've done to each other.
Yeah.
And that was also just felt so tacked on because they seem to be having fun when they leave.
Yeah.
And then halfway through, it's like, oh, actually, we have problems with each other our whole life.
And Susan Sarandon admits that. So Tammy is like, you left me when I was a child. You just like moved out. You didn't even say goodbye. You like deserted me. You're my best friend. I was 10 years old. And grandma's like, later, they have another conversation. And her grandma's like, girl, I left because I tried to sleep with your father.
Yeah.
Because she's always been an alcoholic.
Yeah.
Tammy's whole life, at least. And so she tried to sleep with a young Dan Ackroyd. And she realized...
Who wouldn't?
I mean, she realized... I cannot say that. I mean, in reality, this would have been like, my stepmother is an alien, Dan Ackroyd, and I don't know.
Dan Ackroyd 30.
Not doing it for me.
Dan Ackroyd 30, Dan Ackroyd 60, looks the same.
It's exactly the same, right? Also, he didn't seem like he wanted to be there, except that he got to pretend like he was going to kill someone. I think he likes to pretend to be tough.
No, he never wants to be in anything he's in anymore. Look at his cameo in the Ghostbusters thing that Paul Feig made with Melissa McCarthy in it.
Yeah, no.
Like, you don't have to have those scenes, you know?
He just needed a paycheck so he could buy more Crystal Skulls. Listen, I think...
Crystal Skull Vodka, check it out.
Right. So then they end up at Kathy Bates. They go to Kathy Bates' house the next day, and she's married to Sandra Oh.
Doing her classic Southern accent.
They're like, we're going to have a big lesbian 4th of July. It's 4th of July now all of a sudden.
We've skipped people getting arrested and robbing chicken stores and shit.
Right. That's why
Susan
they go to
Sarandon
her.
gets busted with codeine or Oxycontin.
They both get arrested because they have a fight and Susan's drunk at like 11 a.m. But yeah, she's got Oxy.
And so they run out of money. So Melissa McCarthy, Tammy, the main character, has to rob a Topper Jacks in Louisville.
Don't get sassy.
Okay, sorry.
Okay?
Yeah.
Just get pie. You want some pies?
I like pie.
Well, get a pile for you. Get a pile for... If you change your attitude, I'd like to give you some pies on me.
No, that's okay, thanks. I don't care for him.
God damn it. So what did we just talk about? I have a gun on you. I offered you pie. He likes pies. He's got a gun to his face. Anything I say, he's gonna like. I ask you, you want some pies?
I like pies.
Come on, that's what I'm talking about. All right, put a stack of pies for her, a stack of pies for me. Which one?
I think this is all of it.
Just get over there.
And then
It's real dumb.
And there's a big drawn out scene where they're robbing and they're getting pies and there's conversations about the pies.
The woman that plays the cashier, I've seen in stuff, and I actually thought she was funny in this because of the way she reacted to everything.
Mm-hmm.
They have a good, like, rapport.
Yeah.
Those two women. There's some, but it was too long.
So ends up that Office Space dude and Mark Duplass end up bailing out Tammy's mother. Why they would do that, I don't know.
Cause she's a good fuck, Bob.
that pussy must have been amazing.
I mean, it must have been.
So they go to Kathy Bates and Sandra Oh's place.
And Kathy Bates is like, y'all got in trouble. They're looking for you with
burn
this
the car.
They burn the car, and then they just drive in an RV across her. Why? There was no reason for there to be an RV. I thought the RV was going to come back around, like they were going to steal the RV.
The question on this trip is, like, they couldn't have been that far from Louisville because that's kind of why they went to that direction to go to her in the first place.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's driving an RV. But you also go to her house and she's with Sandra Oh. And they have this swank-ass house on a lake.
Huge house. She owns like 22 pet stores or something. Or like pet food stores, she says, I think.
Something like that.
But like, so then it's this big, huge July 4th party. They give Tammy like a makeover. And Tammy asks her grandma, don't get drunk tonight. And then all of a sudden, Office Space and Mark Duplass show up because Pearl invited them. Susan Sarandon invited them. And you know this is like a whole big thing where like Pearl probably wants to get it on with Office Space, but she also knows that Tammy and this dude were like hitting it off.
Oh my God.
Like, ooh.
Oh my God, the sexual tension between Mark Duplass and Tammy. Wow.
I will say there was
I was rock hard every time they were
It was not, but the scene on the bench where he does like kind of try to put the moves on her was actually really sweet, like the way he did it. Because he was kind of a little bit awkward, and he just kind of was like, he told her she looked really nice, and then he like kind of brushed her hair out of her face a little bit, and then he just like rubbed her back a little bit, and she was like, I'm married!
It's like watching someone with autism try to hit on someone with ADHD.
There was a moment at the beginning of this movie where I said to you, is Tammy okay? I mean, I guess as the movie progresses, she like calms down a little bit.
Yeah,
but they put her forward as like a really dumb person.
And Kathy Bates has to lecture after she's insulted by her own grandma. She's like, well, she's an alcoholic and you need to grow up. And a scene that I think is supposed to be inspiring.
I guess. I do get like you're responsible for yourself.
This movie's not rated very high.
No, and it won't be today.
But I was kind of hoping that there would be something about it that like, this movie is not well regarded. But there's a couple of things that we can latch on to that can make it like a cult goof hit in our house, right? Something that's like, a lot of people hate this movie, but we love Tammy. This movie is like ridiculous and fun. And it's like, no, it's really not.
No. And then there's this weird scene right before Kathy Bates gives Tammy this like, get your shit together talk. Before Susan Sarandon calls her fat in front of everybody and upsets her, they have a Viking burial for the jet ski.
Yeah.
And all of these, like, lesbian women are yelling, like, Valhalla! It's real weird. And then it goes straight to drunk grandma on the mic. It just felt very, like...
That scene where she...
disjointed and awkward.
I did think that scene the next day where she thought her grandma was dead.
That was good.
And then she runs into the house screaming they're dead. And then you look out the window and she stands up.
Yeah.
I actually thought that was kind of funny.
That was funny. That was one of the funnier. This is the thing. I laughed. There were moments that I laughed. Like, there were lines that got me or, like, things that she would do. Because Melissa McCarthy is a funny lady. But I can't tell you what any of those are.
Yeah,
Like, it didn't stick. It was like... I also was very ready to, like you said, I was very ready to like it. I was like, this is going to be fun, at least.
My heart was open.
Yeah, like I was like, let's have fun watching this.
Was this just a first draft straight on? Is this a case of like, let's get all our friends together to make a movie? And it's like, but an example of why you can't do everything with just your friends?
Do you think maybe they didn't have like, maybe they came up with a lot of these lines themselves?
Oh, like maybe it was a little improvised?
Like maybe it could have been a little improvised. I think especially the Melissa McCarthy stuff. But like, yeah, I think a lot of it might have just been like, and this is y'all's relationship, do some stuff. And then they just,
but it's just like this weird banter. Like they're talking about how like a corny eagle wooden statue, and they're having a banter surrounding that. And it's like, there's no charm in it, like whatsoever.
No, and like, and even okay, so then after all that happens, before she thinks her grandma's dead, but she's not, Mark Duplass is like basically saying, I think we should be in a relationship. Based on what? He knows nothing about her. And she actually looks at his face and is like, I have no job. I am still married. I have to figure my shit out. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't think this is a good idea. That is the one time in this movie where Tammy is the one who is the most logical. It does not make any sense. And this man's like, well, I think you're wrong. Like, why do you want to be with this woman?
Tammy should have just stained in ketchup, and then she should have kept that energy that she had in the first 10 minutes of the movie,
Yeah, she didn't.
But they do end up finally getting to Niagara Falls.
Grandma goes to the hospital and Tammy goes to jail for 38 days because they caught her for robbing the place. Even though they returned the money. Yeah. Grandma made her return the money. And then she goes home, kind of makes up with Allison Janney. Dan Ackroyd offers to kill her ex-husband. And then she finds out Grandma is in...
Very tacked on Dan Ackroyd.
Grandma's in a home.
Yeah.
So Tammy runs to like break her grandma out because she thinks her mom like forced her there, but that's not really true. Grandma went there to get herself taken care of and to get herself clean. So she goes to AA meeting. She's got her health under control and she's dating a guy. Mm-hmm. But then they do go on a trip to Niagara Falls. And then guess who shows up?
Office Space and Mark Duplass.
I didn't see Office Space at that.
Oh, that's right.
But I think Mark Duplass showed up. Probably Office Space had to stay home and take care of his sick ex-wife, whatever. But also Sandra Oh and Kathy Bates are there. So they're just all dancing in the
Niagara Falls waterfall.
And then it ends with Tammy talking about, I should rent a bucket or a barrel and go over the side and
Excellent improv.
If anybody could do it, you could, darling.
And look, nothing against any of these people involved.
I like so many of these people.
I've laughed at things that Melissa McCarthy is in. The rumor, the Page 6 rumor mill is that Melissa McCarthy's rude at restaurants. That's what I've heard.
I've heard that she's rude, but then I actually just heard about a drag queen meeting her backstage of a show, and she was like the loveliest person ever.
Oh, sure.
Like, I don't know. So who knows? It could depend on when and where she is.
Yeah. If you work at
people have bad days.
If you work at a TGI Fridays manning the salad bar, you're maybe not going to get your best Melissa McCarthy.
But if you're at a drag show dancing, she might have fun with you.
Well, I mean, she's there to see you, I guess, so that helps.
Yes.
But yeah, boy, I was kind of hoping we'd find something in it for us, something that we could drag and beat to death like a bit. But nah, it's just a bad movie. So why don't you give it 1 through 5, and I give it 1 through 5. A piss poor showing for a lot of people that we actually like in most other respects.
Yeah.
We like you, Susan Sarandon. We like you, Melissa McCarthy, Mark Duplass.
Toni College, I love
Toni College. Muriel's Wedding's one of my favorite comedies ever.
Yes, one of our favorite movies.
Dan Aykroyd, you're all right.
Yeah, you're fine.
You're all right.
You're fine.
Blues Brothers, not funny. What is up with that movie?
No,
The movie's not funny. It's like one of those. It's like Tammy, like one of these things that's supposed to be funny, but not. Oh, the budget to this movie was around $20 million. How much money do you think this movie made?
15.
So you're under
45.
So are you under or over?
I think I'm over. I'm gonna say it made 45 million.
$100 million. It was a
I mean,
hit.
people go out to movies for this shit, but you don't know till you bought your ticket that
Exactly.
it's not good. You just think, oh, it's the new Melissa McCarthy.
Yes, this made $100 million, but no one fucking talked about this movie when they left the theater. No one talks about this fucking movie. They do not. I remember watching like the trailer. The trailer is not bad. It makes it even seem funnier than it really is.
Yeah. And the beginning was.
Yeah, but okay. So we're going to give this 1 through 5. I'm going to give 1 through 5, and then you're going to draw another category out of a hat.
I love that part. I'm debating on how low to go. I'm feeling like a 1.5.
I'm going to give it a 1.25.
Okay.
And just so we can have our second ever F tier. Because if I matched you, it would have been a D minus.
I almost asked you what the F rating was again, just so I could make sure it was an F. I think it is.
But if I give it a 1.25, it's a 2.75. That's an F tier.
Let's do it. That sounds right.
All right, hold on.
I mean, and like I said, it did make us laugh. Honestly, one of the funniest parts to me was at the very, very end when she's in the hot tub with the people from the chicken place.
But you laugh at episodes of Forensic Files. You're an easy laugh.
I don't laugh at Forensic Files. But I am an easy laugh.
So let me throw it up there so we can see it.
How is it that Crocs are an indicator of like coolness right now and also like total lack of respect for yourself?
At this time it was uncool, but somehow Crocs
have become cool. Okay.
Came back, yeah.
They were not cool then. And she wears a lot of Crocs, or one pair of Crocs in this movie the whole time.
Falcone would go on to direct other Melissa McCarthy movies that we haven't seen. And yeah, maybe we'll hit those up another time. Hey, I'm sure they're a loving and great couple.
I have a feeling the Tammy card is going to disappear from the hat at some point.
Yeah, I had this idea that we would watch it multiple times, and I sat through it once, like almost as a bit. This is what I'm saying. And then I was like, I can't do that to myself.
No, well, you can't do that to our marriage. I think that you should also, if we did leave it in there, maybe throw all those other Melissa McCarthy, Ben Falcone joints in there or something.
You're right.
Make it a little more interesting.
Yeah. Oh, I want to tell you about like some rewards this thing won real quick. The Alliance of Women Film Journalists, which focuses on women in film, gave this nominated Melissa McCarthy for a category called Actress Most in Need of a New Agent. That is the most passive-aggressive category award I've ever...
You know what? I would like to give a humpy to that society
the women
for
film...
making up that award.
The women film journalists are like, girl.
You know what's crazy is like this movie wins the Bechdel test.
Yes, it does. And that goes to show how the Bechdel test means nothing in terms of quality.
This is a more like female-led film.
It is. It's literally. It's not more. It is like absolutely is.
Yes.
Okay, so you're going to draw another category out of this hat, and if you draw Tammy again, we'll have you draw again.
Okay.
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 But Tammy may linger around in case we get to the old Tammy.
Tammy and the Doctor.
Yeah,
I really want to make you watch at least one of those at some point. Okay. A challenging performance for everybody.
Okay, now let me explain what this category is. It is a category where actors are playing people with intellectual disabilities.
Mm-hmm.
All right? Think of your Radios, your Forrest Gumps, your
I Am the Bus with My Sister.
The Other Sister.
Oh, yeah, The Other Sister. Mm-hmm. Rain Man.
Maybe one of our shortest categories. Rain Man is on there. Autism isn't... Rain Man is just an extreme autism. Autism in general does not qualify.
No.
Like, it's not like our boy Francis Bourgeois, who talks about the trains on Instagram.
Please give it some power. Yeah. Go on. Yeah. Oh, it's Tony Middleton. Oh, that's exactly what I wanted.
Oh.
That's when autism has perfected a human being. No, it needs
We love him, genuinely.
It needs to be very extreme.
Yeah.
Okay? So, we're going to pull up the category here. All right, give me a second.
I'm just taking a picture of our dog on the floor while you do that. Not that you're going to leave this in. I'm just telling you what I'm doing.
All right, so I'm going to put this on the screen. This is our random number generator. Now we're going to generate 28. 28. Yes, we're talking about the Cuba Gooding Jr. vehicle, directed by Michael Tolan.
I've never seen it.
Radio.
Okay. Show me the money. You know what I'm saying?
Radio.
That's not the same movie. That's just the only Cuba Gooding Jr. I can think of right now.
Yeah. Maybe he says that in this movie while he holds the radio. Check the show notes for links and other places to find us. It'll be after October when we get to our randomly generated reviews and our episode of Radio, because we got some hot Halloween action coming.
And we are not interrupting it for anything.
We're not interrupting it. It's pure horror that month. And so what did you think of Tammy? Do you like Tammy? Do you think we're way off? I can see a lot of people maybe going more D or C minus. If you're going S tier, A, I don't know. I got to question you. But what do you think about the movie Tammy, starring Melissa McCarthy, directed by her husband?
Should I do my hair like Tammy?
Yeah, get a bad wig like Tammy had. You know? All right. So, yeah, like and subscribe. Tell us what's up. Tell us your Tammy tells. Are you like me? Does Tammy, or at least in the first 10 minutes of the movie, remind you of relatives? Yeah. So let's get out of here.
Death to all traitors.